Hello, everyone, and welcome to the season finale of My Thoughts. So, again, for those of you who are new to the series, this is my overall series where I have been ranking the Disney Plus shows from Phase 4 of the MCU and placing them in order from what I think is the best to the worst. I ranked 7 of them. I did not include What If, and so the final rankings are, because we already know where the final rankings are going to land, is WandaVision number 1 is the best show, followed by Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel. And today we're going to be talking about why WandaVision, in my opinion, is the best Disney Plus show. But before we get started, I just want to say that I hope that everybody got to see Black Panther Wakanda Forever on opening night. I'm recording this way in advance. In fact, when I am recording this, it is November 1st. So you can go ahead and tell that we are 10 days away from the actual opening date when I'm recording this. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen. I'm recording this way in advance just because I have a lot of work to get done in my own personal life. So I want to go ahead and get these out and ready to go. And so I don't have to worry about backloading them later on. But with that being said, just to recap as well for future projects to come before we get into this one, the next episode release should be my Power Level series. Now, there should be, or there could possibly be some random, just sporadic videos about me giving my opinions about a new drop or a new release or something like that. But I don't expect that to happen. My next video should be the finale of Phase 4 Power Levels, which will include She-Hulk, Wakanda Forever, I Am Groot, and Werewolf by Night. Now, I know some of you are technically saying that the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is the actual conclusion of Phase 4, and I could include it in this current Power Level series video, which I'm aware of, but I think it would be better served just to include it in my Phase 5 Part 1, which will include the Guardians Special, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and Secret Invasion. And it should be coming out, I'm guessing, around March. I really don't know when the Secret Invasion series is going to happen, so I'm going to guess it will probably still be going on by the time Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania releases. So we'll just have to wait and see how that all plays out. But that will be my next big video. And then, of course, I will start my Phase 4 movie reviews and movie rankings. So Season 2 of My Thoughts sometime after my Phase 5 Part 3 Power Level series gets released. And with all that out of the way, now let's talk about WandaVision. So, right off the bat, WandaVision was the first Disney Plus series, and so it really had to set the pace and set the tone for every other MCU series to come. Because we really didn't know what to expect. Everyone was excited about the announcement that there were going to be shows on Disney Plus, but again, it was sort of a, we're going to wait and see what's actually going to happen. And if WandaVision didn't hit and didn't connect, it was going to be a tough sell for the remainder of the series that were going to be released on Disney Plus because people, quite frankly, wouldn't have bought in. And so WandaVision might not only be the most important Disney Plus show, but I think it's the best. And with that being said, the two main characters of the show from the comics, Wanda Maximoff, she first appeared in 1964's X-Men number 4 as part of Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And if you've seen any of the X-Men movies, you know that the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants are people who think that the mutants should rise up against the government, led by Magneto. And in the comics, Magneto is Wanda's father, or there's some discrepancies there from a few comics, but we're not going to get into that. And then Vision first appeared in the Avengers number 57 in 1968. So two very classic comic book characters. These are not newer characters. I guess you could say the modern version of the characters we get in the MCU are new twists on the characters. But these characters themselves have been in the comics for a while. So now let's talk about the pros. The first pro is Wanda and Vision themselves. I think that their relationship is perfect. We've got to sort of see the buildup of their relationship starting in Civil War. Some might argue that it started all the way back in Age of Ultron, but I'd say it really didn't start until Civil War. And we, of course, saw the climax of that in Avengers Infinity War. And we've sort of seen the repercussions of Wanda losing Vision ever since. And this gives us a nice, just slice of life. We get to see Wanda and Vision in their happiest moments. We get to see them be a couple. We get to see them live a happy life. And it's refreshing. It's rewarding. I don't think that many people expected there to be a lot of feel good, happiness in this show. Because again, Vision was a dead character at the time. And when I say dead character, I mean he was literally dead within the continuity of the series. So there were a lot of questions asked, and I really did think there were going to be a lot of people who thought that this show was going to be just a slice of life, nice show, but that's what it ended up being. And, it was absolutely great, and I thought that all the interactions between them were phenomenal. Something else I loved is that the secondary characters in WandaVision, perhaps more so than any of the other shows, they were perfectly utilized. Maria Rambeau was absolutely phenomenal. Monica Rambeau. She perfectly had her character set up. We learned exactly the amount of backstory we needed from her. Going into the hospital, having her mom die, she being snapped, her coming back, her mom dying after she got back post-snap. Jimmy Woo comes back from Ant-Man. He was perfect. We really, I guess, sort of had I don't want to really say a character revival of him, but we definitely didn't see him in the context that we saw him in Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I don't think painted him in the best light. And then we also had Darcy from Thor, and all of these three characters coming together, it really made sense. It really made sense. It set up the future Rambeau storyline in the Marvels movie, which will be coming out this summer, in a spectacular way, I think. And I think actually that was probably one of the better setups out of all of the Disney Plus shows for a future project. And not to mention, too, the town people themselves were, they weren't just sort of NPC-like characters. They were very fleshed out, and, you could point them out by their personalities, and I think that's very cool that, even though most of them didn't even really have names, you were able to sort of connect, personalities to faces based on how they acted. Agatha was the perfect villain. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I mean, I think that she was just the perfect contrast to Wanda. And I think this was the first time, even with Thanos, that I think Wanda was really challenged. Because I think Wanda really let her guard down, really trusted Agatha. And I think that is why her as a villain works so well, is that the big twist that, Agatha All Along, the song, it was just perfect. I mean, her friend is someone who we had seen in pretty much every episode serving as a right-hand woman to Wanda, is now actually her enemy. And I think that was a perfect contrast. And again, I think this was one of the more difficult challenges Wanda's ever had to face in the MCU. And of course, Wanda, in my opinion, is the most powerful hero in the MCU. And I think that, that was a very perfect way of finding a way for Wanda to be challenged by giving her someone who pretty much matches her in most conceivable ways. Lastly, tiny point here, I'm just going to say that something I really enjoyed is that all the episodes kept you invested. I think that was a big issue with a lot of the other Disney Plus series, is that a lot of the episodes really felt sort of out of place and long and mundane. But even when I get to my best and worst episodes on this list, I think you're going to see that even the episode that I think is not the best, I wouldn't even say it's the worst. I think that every single episode works, I know there are a lot of people who have issues with the series finale, and I'm going to talk about that here in a few minutes. But again, I think that every episode in of itself brought something to the table, kept you invested, and that's not something I can say that really many other series did. Even Hawkeye, for example, which I love, there were a few episodes where I think, it was hard to stay invested in, but WandaVision perfectly kept you invested in every episode, and again, it was just perfect. Now, the cons. This might have some people disagree with me on this first point, but pointless cameo, Evan Peters as Quicksilver. Look, I get it. It was cool. X-Men fans were excited to see that the cinematic universe Fox version of Quicksilver was back on the screen. But what point was made by having him in there? There really was none, and again, I think this started the trend of just pointless cameos throughout Phase 4. Again, I know I've talked about some in my other Disney Plus series, and I'll be talking about them a lot more when we get to the movies. Just wait. But again, there was just no reason. It set Twitter ablaze when he showed up, and it was just, again, I think really trying to pull people back into the series when it didn't need to. We didn't need it, and again, it was just very disappointing. I know that, again, the current X-Men actors are under contract, I believe, for 2 more years at this point. But again, I don't think it was needed. It just felt like just a pointless character addition. And that's my biggest issue with it overall. I also really didn't think that Wanda faced repercussions for her actions. Similar to Hawkeye, in the Hawkeye series that I talked about, although in that series I would even say that Hawkeye faced more consequences than she did. I mean, Wanda basically enslaved a whole town under her mind control, and she just gets to fly away and nobody does anything about it. Now, granted, I don't think anybody could have stopped Wanda, but it would have been nice in a post-credit scene to have one of the Avengers maybe come and say, "Hey, look, like you're gonna have to answer for what you did, or come back to us," and have that sort of lead into Multiverse of Madness. Now, again, we'll get to Multiverse of Madness when we get there, but one thing I will say that I'm glad they didn't do is have Doctor Strange show up at the last minute and save her. I know that was originally going to happen. COVID sort of prevented that from happening, and I think had Doctor Strange saved her, it would have lessened the impact of the finale. But again, it would have made sense for Doctor Strange to show up in a post-credit scene and sort of say, "Hey, we need to talk about what happened." I think it would have. And on that same point, the ending left a lot to be desired. I think just again in terms of what actually happened, knowing how people viewed Wanda, and also again just seeing how the townspeople reacted to her being gone. I am really intrigued to see what happens with Agatha next. I know that she will be having a series coming out soon, but again, there was just a lot of unanswered questions. I guess at this point it's very unlikely we're getting a season 2. There's currently a rumor about a new Vision show in the works. But again, there were just a lot to be desired in the finale. Again, it sort of ended like a typical Marvel big bad showdown. There was White Vision. We don't know what's happening with White Vision. And again, there are just a lot of unanswered questions. And again, that sort of is I think that's going to be the overall sort of theme of Phase 4 in general, is unanswered questions. But I think WandaVision sort of started that trend a bit, and I do hope it changes in Phase 5 because, I mean, maybe it's just a, outsider looking in right now, as, most of the time when we were back in Phases 1, 2, and 3, we sort of had a general idea of how everything fit together, and, I hope that we start to get a general sense of that coming soon. So now let's talk about the best and worst episode. My best episode is episode 8, Previously On, and I think this is because it really explains everything we need to know about Wanda's character. This is the episode where Agatha takes her back and has her relive moments of her past, and we get to see a side of Wanda we never got to see. We got a new explanation for how she got her powers, that she always had them and not just that she got them from the Soul Stone. We also got to learn that she used to love sitcoms, and that's why this entire series is based on sitcoms. And I think that this was a perfect way of showing character development and also having a story in the same way. Because you're not simply sitting there and having an exposition dump of Wanda telling you what happened. You're going back and you're reliving every moment with her. From, again, the moment when she got her powers to when the Stark bomb was dropped on their home, all the way until her and Vision's first date when they watched a sitcom together. And it was just perfect. I mean, Agatha, of course, this is when we really got to see how evil Agatha was. And again, I mean, it was just one of the best, it might be the best Disney Plus episode out of any series so far. And not to mention, again, Rambeau, we got a lot of character development from her. We learned that she's feisty, and more importantly, that she's never going to give up on someone who she thinks is a good person. And I can't wait to see more of her in the Marvels when she teams up with Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel. Now, as I said, my worst episode is really not a bad episode, just to me, it was not the best, and that would be episode 6, All New Halloween Spooktacular. Not because of anything more than, again, Evan Peters. He was the main sort of ploy for that episode, and I wish he wasn't, because I thought the costumes of Vision, the classic Vision from the comics, and the classic Wanda from the comics were awesome. I wish they would have focused on that and not on Evan Peters being there. But again, I still think it's a good episode, and I think probably the thing that annoyed me the most is that even the characters in the show are making meta jokes about how Quicksilver got recasted and how it doesn't make any sense. So when the characters are making fun of the decision, that it is really sort of an odd decision. But again, it's not really a bad episode. It's just, for me, something that I found to be very nitpicky worthy. And with that being said, everyone, now we're going to rank WandaVision, and as I've said before, it's the best Disney Plus show. It is first out of 7. This was the series that, again, I think really had a lot of fans yearning for more Disney Plus, and I think that over time, people gradually got more and more disappointed with Disney Plus, and I think we're going to see Disney move more towards a special presentation moving forward. But I will say this, imagine if a different series, imagine if Falcon and the Winter Soldier or, She-Hulk had been the first Disney Plus series. I don't think Disney Plus would have been as successful as it has been had those series been first. I think one of the reasons it was successful is because WandaVision was such a great series, and it started off all the Phase 4 Disney Plus shows with a bang. And with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for watching this series. Again, this was new for me, and I really enjoyed making Marvel content, and I'm going to be doing more of it, guys. I love making the Power Level series, but I love doing shows and stuff like this in between releases so you guys can stay up to date and I can keep bringing you guys Marvel content, because Marvel's something I love. It's a passion of mine, and I love sharing my passion with all of you. With that being said, leave your thoughts down below. Leave me your own top 7 rankings. If you want to include What If, leave your top 8 for me. And with that being said, everyone, as I said, the next episode will be my Power Level series, and then shortly after that, we'll be back for Season 2 when we start off with my Black Widow Phase 4 movie review, my thoughts. Again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching this new series, and I can't wait for you all to see my next Power Level series episode. I'll be seeing you all then. Take care.